Hi everybody, we're back. We're talking with Dr. Arnold Kerzner about the physiological and psychological benefits of exercise. Arnie, we were just about to talk about the connection between exercise and how that can alleviate depression, which is something people seem to believe. What's the...
Yeah, I'd say certain types of depression it can alleviate. If the depression is really secondary to a lot of things going on in your life, you certainly have to address those.
Right.
But the research on exercise, you're absolutely right. In and of itself, what seems to be going on in the brain is an increase in some of the good chemicals called neurotransmitters, mainly, let's say, serotonin, which is what some of the medications do. But instead of a medication, exercise seems to do the exact same thing in increasing those good chemicals in the brain. Right. And by increasing them, it seems how the brain is nourished by them. It's like, exercise is almost like the chocolate for the brain. So if you like chocolate, it does almost the same thing.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of studies where we don't just do talking therapy or medication. Almost all of us are interested in an exercise program and a nutritional program. And of course, what can you do for some of those external things going on in your life?
Right, interesting. You mentioned chocolate for the brain. That's a wonderful metaphor. But chocolate is addictive, and some people are obsessed with it. And you know, I am a walking case of...
What's wrong with that, though?
Well, I don't know. I mean, positive, negative.
Right.
I'm a glaring example of addiction and obsession with bicycles. I mean, this whole edifice of this. I run a company, I mean, is there such thing as a positive addiction? I mean, or a positive obsession? Can your brain be too much addicted to exercise, or the dopamines and the serotonins, and could it ever be negative?
Well, you know, the main generic statement is that everything in moderation.
That's true.
So if you love bicycling, you love it, and I can see you do, because your whole face changes as soon as I use the B word,
animation.
Bicycle.
I know.
And yes, you get into a certain state of transcendence.
Yeah, I mean,
so I'm already,
happiness.
Yes, happiness, but I'm already stimulating that transcendent gene in you just by talking with you. Your eyes light up. But the truth of the matter is, there's a lot more going on in your life than creating, building, riding, experiencing, bicycling. So I would say that it's hard for me to think of an obsession with something unless that's almost all you do.
Well, how about you just ask me as if you know, I were, you know, a patient who's coming in, and you just wanted to get a general sense. You know, I'd come in and say, well, you know, I run a bike company and I do the show. I really like riding my bike, and I like racing my bike, and you know, what can you make of it?
Well, off camera, I'd certainly ask you whether I could get a wholesale price on one of your magnificent bicycles.
Yes,
which I know we won't go there.
Price.
But as a therapist, I can't do that.
Right.
I would probably start with what you love.
Yeah.
I would start with what you're comfortable with. I would let you be my teacher in terms of bicycling or exercising.
I mean,
and I would allow you to spend a lot of time on that. And from there, I'd build a bridge of what else is your life like. So what else do you balance that joy and that pleasure with? Do you have downtime? Do you have reading time? What else do you do? What about a family man? In other words, how does that contribute to who you are as a person? Are you doing volunteer stuff? Are you finding meaning in your life? So I almost think of it as an existential issue in terms of the idea of, is a person feeling complete with what they do?
Then that's right. And well, I mean, I love to be outside. I like to ride my bike and see the scenery change. You know, I love the fitness. I mean, for me, I think the fitness and the hormones or the serotonin chemicals that come through that lead to the fitness is very satisfying. And then to mix that with competition, that's where you know, I get to sort of measure myself, and you know, I'm never at the top. There's always someone else who's pedaling harder.
I can't believe there's anybody better than you.
Yeah, there are about most of the people in USA cycling, but it's fun to try, right?
Right.
And every achievement, every result that I manage to get, it's usually, some of them are not so great, but some of them are satisfying to me personally, and that's what powers fuels the happiness. And then, you know, I spend a lot of time trying to manage a company and be present with the family, and so I feel that yeah, I'm very lucky to be able to do that. But some days it's not so easy.
Well, you mentioned the word competition, and the funny thing about competition is that it really keeps you humble.
Yeah.
It keeps you trying harder.
Right.
There are some highs and lows, so therefore you have to face both gains and both loss.
Yeah.
And your body and your mind has to cope with the fact that you're not at the top of the Homo sapiens ladder, because none of us are. It's almost impossible to be on the top.
That's right.
The bike itself may be on the top of the Darwinian developmental level of developing the perfect bike.
Right.
But the human being on that perfect bike is still not a perfect person. And that's what makes us so beautiful. But exercise gives you a chance to go through certain moments where you think you're almost achieving a certain kind of inner sense of almost not quite perfection, but boy, I'm really working hard to achieve a level that I'm very proud of.
Right. And there's another element in there too, which is the social element. I think you know, the exercise, you know, typically happens with a lot of other people, whether it's team sport or you know, a club, and you get to interact with other people, and you know, that for me, that's an important part of the whole thing. And if I didn't have a bike club, I'd have no friends. But I think that's great, Arnie. I think you know, we've had a great chat. I'd like to thank you again for coming down.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Yeah, it's been great. I think
this has been exercise for me.
That's right. Well, good. I can tell. Thanks again. All right. Well, thanks everybody. That was Dr. Arnold Kerzner talking about the physiological and psychological benefits of exercise and riding your bike. You can learn more about All Things Bike on the website, allthingsbiketv.com, and we're all over Facebook. And please reach out to us and let us know what you'd like to see, or if you think you should be on the show, please send us a message. Thanks again, and we will see you next time.